Good evening YouTube, Abyss full of Goats here, and welcome back to another deck profile. And finally, the legendary decks have been released here in Europe, so I can finally give you my new Striker deck profile. Now for those who don't know, this is one of my all-time favourite decks. It's in the top 5 probably, and I was so looking forward to getting to rebuild this again with the new cards. But of course, for some reason I can't get progged in Europe right, so I have to wait a bit longer after you've already seen a lot of these cards. Still, I wanted to gush about this deck again because, oh my god, with these new cards, this deck is so much fun. I love that I can play first, actually preferably play first now, but still have this going second magic. I love all of the new cards in it, and yeah, I just can't wait to show you guys this deck profile. Also, before we start, give you a bit of an update. Skip videos on this channel will be delayed for a bit longer because my work on my second channel's first scripted video has been delayed because for some reason the company whose editing software I was using, I won't name names to be safe, decided to just torpedo their older models, and I can't for some reason get access to the new ones. So now I've had to download a new editing software which I'm learning to use, so please just be patient, thank you. Okay, so to start things off for our monsters, very quick, 1 Rose and 3 Rae. Honestly, Rae's quick link abilities got even better because with all the link 2s, this card can just bypass requiring one of the materials to summon it. Rose, unfortunately, has gotten even worse than she used to be because not only can she not quick link, meaning you don't get access to the link 2s with her, but she's much more vulnerable to interruption than Rae. But basically, you still want to play her for the if you need to manually summon the best link 2 in this deck. Also, of course, Rae's recyclability is always as good as ever, giving you access to all your links even when your opponent starts to break your board. And that's it for the non-hand trap monsters, because what else would you play in a Striker deck? So next I'm going to show you the cards that also let us get to our combo, which is of course 1 drones and 3 copies of linkage. Now drones is just another way to get into your link monsters, and it can also be a way to get a 1 card link too, as you can go drones, get the token, make Kagari, get it back, get another drone token, and then you can go for your Yumi combo. I'm just kidding, but you can do that. But you can also use it to make the best new link too. I'm going to be sad when this card eventually gets banned because of Yumi, but it doesn't hurt the deck that much because we've got cards like this. This is the best card in the deck now, I think. It lets you send a card to the graveyard, basically tag through all your Striker monsters, which can give you an OTK on an early board, on an empty board, but it can also let you get access to a bunch of effects in 1 turn without having to spend too much material. And with all the spells we play in this deck, this card helps you fill up your grave with 3 spells for the bonus Striker effects really quickly. Yeah, I liked this card before, but with the new support, this has become my favourite card in Striker. It is so good. And of course, to find it, we play 3 copies of one of the most broken cards ever made, Striker Engage. I mean, what's to say about this card? You get to draw an additional card and search something. This is a +1 that can also give you a full combo, and it's even run outside the main deck when you index like Yummy just to get the drones. This is one of the best cards in the deck. If Striker ever becomes a problem, I can see this card going to 1 again. I hope not. But yeah, and for the other old reliables, we're still running the Widow Anchors because this is one of our best ways to interrupt opponents if on their turn, and it helps us climb for our link 2s on our own turn. And of course, none of these cards are once per turn, so if you can get multiple of these from multiple engages or just by drawing them, you can have multiple disruptions that also fuel your Kagari and Shizuku. Then we're playing one of the newest spells, Lens Gate, which lets you shuffle back your strikers and your spells to get some bounces. This card is good at recycling things. It's good at putting difficult monsters off the board, and the graveyard it can be used for a quick link, meaning we can again link through a bunch of our monsters to get pops and other effects to help us clear a board going second. You don't play one of this though because you don't need it's completely searchable. You don't need to play more of it. If you're playing Pot of Desires like Joshua Schmidt did, I would suggest playing 2 of this, but since I'm not playing that build, 1's enough. For the other one we've got 1 Shark Cannon, 1 other field spell, 1 Eagle Booster, Booster being really good and protecting your own board from removal. And with all these spells, it's very easy to fill up your graveyard so that when you go linkage into Kagari, you can actually beat over towers like the Moonlight Towers. So that's our main striker spells. For the consistency, of course, I'm running Upstart Goblin, Visions, and Typhoon. Honestly, all these cards are so good, not only at fixing our hands and basically reducing our deck size, but also just making it very easy to get all the effects of our striker cards. As Upstart gives you a minimum of 1 spell in your grave if you want to draw one of it. This card gives you a minimum of 2 spells in your grave. So if you draw both of these, you pretty much have Engage in the card's bonus effects online. And MST is actually surprisingly good in this deck because it can remove floodgates, it can help break boards, but also, if necessary, it can just be the card you send off of linkage, or you can even use this to blow linkage off the board to guarantee that it resolves. Again, no pot desires in this deck because I didn't want to go above the 40 very much, and because it can get some one-offs you might want to see in certain matchups. But if you were to play desires, again, I would recommend putting this up to 2, and yeah, that's about it. That's the only I'd make from this part. And I want to put this up to 2, which is one of the reasons why I didn't want the desires build, because this card is not a brick, but it is so much worse than Rae. It's not even funny. So for our non-engine spells that help us break boards and control the field, of course we're playing the Fallen the Virtuous, and I'm choosing to also play Forbidden Droplet in my build because if your meta is mostly mid-range decks like Draco Tail, Vanquish Soul, and some build of Yumi, that's fine. But if you're playing against a Yumi Piles deck or Canine Crystron or any decks that have a very high ceiling, it is very hard to crack those kind of boards game 1 with just the striker cards, whereas this by itself can do it sometimes. In addition to this, you can also just turn on your striker bonus effects with this one card by dumping a couple of spells to turn off monster effects. The only downside with this card I've noticed though is that if you're playing against say Yumi Piles and they can put up Dragoon through the Domination Engine along with another negate, you pretty much have to rely on drawing one of your few hand traps or drawing extra copies of your striker monsters, because the other does negate it. So just keep that in mind. Speaking of my hand traps, we don't play many in the main, just 2 draws, 3 Ash. I agree with Josh Schmidt somewhat that you don't want to main deck the Chamis, but I do side them because again my local has a decent amount of high ceiling decks. Sometimes you need that card to see enough board breakers to get through those boards. And finally, the one-off spells. We got the Thrust, Talents, Called By. This is supposed to be a cross-up detonator. I still haven't been able to find my copy of it, so I borrowed one from a friend. And of course, Rotor, which is another copy of your Strikers to get the game started. So yeah, that's the main deck. I really enjoyed it. Onto the extra deck, which I don't think most people will be surprised about. Got the token, of course. I'm currently running the 2 Zeros and 2 Kagaris because I'm not because they are recyclable, and oftentimes you only need 2 to go through to win the game. You could bump these up to 3, which I might give it a try soon, but 2 worked well enough for me. And we're playing 1 blue and 1 green, Shizuku and Hayate. But as an old school player, it feels so wrong to play these at this lower number count. But they're not as potent as these anymore. So 1-on-1's enough usually. In fact, this card you rarely want to use anymore because you're trying to go first. But it's a really good way to set up your plays. If you are going second, you just dump off, engage, make this, get engaged, and do your plays from there. And then we also play 1 Camellia, 1 Azalea, 1 Zeke, and 1, get the card's name right, Prototype Sky Striker Amatsu. So these 2 are removal cards, with this one requiring a striker and another monster, so you can go Anchor, Steal, use that in a striker to make this. There's a fight to basically faff a remove monster for the turn. Gives you 2 pop, gives you only 2 removal from the field. This card lets you stop high-level monster effects by turning it into destroy a Sky Striker card. It also lets you turn your used Sky Strikers or extra ones that have been stuck on the board due to this card's revival effect into removal. So if you use this, get Rae and Rose, you go Rae to get this out, then you can use the Rose as removal. And Camellia, she's really good, and she requires 2 monsters, not just Sky Strikers. But I think she's actually better outside the Striker deck than she is in the Striker deck. Because yes, she can dump an additional spell card to fuel your 3 of effects if necessary, but oftentimes you don't even need her to do that. And her removal isn't bad. And in fact, it's quite funny in a mirror match because you can give them this in their main monster zone, which can stop some plays before they link it off. Or if they've already linked, or if they have a link in their zone, this can shut off their effects during your turn. But this is mostly a card wanted for decks like Yummy more than Striker. So yeah. Then we have the branded package for Fallen the Virtuous. 2 of these to send for the first 2 pops. Then you send this to recycle back your monster and an opponent's card to the deck. So essentially, this gives Fallen the Virtuous 6 potential monster removals, making it one of the best ways to clear a field going second. And for generic cards, we got SP and Typhon. Now Typhon is really good against decks we can sometimes struggle to beat. Big decks with monsters that we can't always beat over. And he's really good at shutting off some cards that can make our gameplay harder. And SP is just SP. Not only is she good removal, but with her effect, you can summon her, remove something. If they try to respond, you go this, remove their monster, and then your extra monster is open again for a Striker, or if you summon it in the main monster zone, it's off the field for a turn, so you get an extra piece of removal without having to turn off your Striker effects. Finally, moving on to the side deck, we start things off with 2 infinite permanents and 2 ghost spells. Now, I recommend you play these in the side deck mostly. This is particularly for my locals, because one of the best decks for my locals recently, for some reason, has been Gimmick Public FTK. Yes, that failure of design is still playable for some reason. See, this is purely for that matchup, because with the minimal amount of hand traps I play in the main deck, if I go second against the deck, I usually just die, unless I happen to draw into Droll going second. Then we have some board breakers, so 2 Storm and 3 Raigekis. This is again for decks to make high ceiling boards, because this will either bait out negate, or if they've already used the negates, it's a 1 card reset of their field basically. Oftentimes it's good it's really good if you open up 2 of these, because you can actually burn through the negates most decks put up just with these cards. And of course there's spells, they fuel your Striker cards as well. And then we have the Chamis. Again, I know this is kind of an iffy choice in Sky Striker, because with Striker's own draw potential, you can draw into one of these when you don't need it. But if I'm going second against a deck that's very high ceiling, again, this card can help me get enough breakers to play through the negates they put up. This is especially true when I'm playing against the 60 card Yumi pile, because between Mitsurugi putting up the negate trap, the board wipe, the Dragoon, at minimum, you often need more than 6 cards to play through that. And finally we have Nibiru. This is again to break boards before they get to their max potential, hopefully before they put up a negate. And yes, it isn't very good on the field, because obviously it's a monster you need to get rid of. But with things like Camellia, it's quite easy to out it, or Zeke, or Azalea, because it is a light. So it's not that bad. And so overall, I really love how this deck's been innovated over the years. I love it can now play first very easily. I love how Rae is much stronger than she used to be. I love how this deck has evolved with the game while keeping true to its roots. I can see myself playing this deck for a long time in the next couple of formats. So thank you all for watching. I'll do my best to get more scripted videos out as fast as I can. But until then, have a good night everybody, and I'll see you all soon.